Awesome. Okay. We don't need that one.
I don't even know what you all look like. If I saw you in public, I don't think, without a mask, I don't think I could.
It's been so long since we've seen you.
Okay, at 6:30 PM, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Renee, can we please have a roll call?
Ms. Williford?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. John? Mr. McDaniel?
Here.
Ms. Byrd?
Here.
Ms. Zink? Mr. Beck? Ms. Bahan?
Here.
Mr. Jablonski?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Moving to our consent docket, starting with item number 1, minutes, consideration of approval, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of the minutes of the October 14th, 2021 regular Planning Commission meeting. Preliminary plats, consider item 2, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of a preliminary plat submitted by United Pentecostal Church of Norman, Macbacks Land Surveying PLLC for apostolic worship Apostolic Worship Center for 4.98 acres of property located at 3221 North Porter Avenue. Short form plats, item 3, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of SFP 21224, a short form plat submitted by 410 24th Avenue Properties LLC, Golden Land Surveying for Powell Addition for 0.5588 acres of property generally located on the west side of 24th Avenue Southwest, approximately 1/3 mile south of West Main Street. And certificates of survey, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Norman Rule Certificate of Survey COS 2122-6 submitted by Brent and Katie Davis, Wallace Design Collective for 4D acres with a variance to the 10 acres minimum size requirement for approximately 9.86 acres of property generally located on the north side of East Robinson Street, approximately a half mile east of 48th Avenue Northeast. Does any member of the commission wish to remove any item from the consent docket?
Yes, Commissioner Jablonski, I'd like to remove item 3.
Okay. Any others? Does any member of the audience wish to remove any item from the consent docket, and if so, announce which items are being pulled to be discussed in their regular order? Okay, I'll take a motion to, or I guess I could probably propose the motion to move item 3 to non-consent items and to approve the remaining items.
So move.
Second.
And a vote.
You may vote. Everyone has voted and carried 6-0. We should just do it first, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move to our non-consent items, starting with item 3. Do I reread it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read it again. Item 3, consideration of approval, acceptance, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of SFP 2122-4, a short form plat submitted by 410 24th Avenue Properties LLC, Golden Land Surveying for Powell Addition for 0.5588 acres of property generally located on the west side of 24th Avenue Southwest, approximately 1/3 mile south of West Main Street. And if we could start with a staff presentation.
Thank you. As indicated, this is a short form plat, which indicates that all public improvements are in place and all rights of way have been dedicated. So it's a process that goes through Planning Commission and then filed of record. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Jablonski. I have a question about the site plan. I'm looking at it, and there's a proposed building footprint, and it looks like it bumps right up against the floodway. can you tell me how this floodway is determined? Is this projected into the future, or is this using historical data?
It's using the FEMA maps.
Okay. So it's not trying to project
It's not
at all.
encroaching on the current flood maps. Thereby,
Okay.
it's not an encroachment in the floodplain.
Great, thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions for staff? Do we have an applicant presentation?
Good evening, Commissioners. Brad Worcester for 410 24th Avenue Properties LLC. We didn't really have a presentation prepared, but I am happy to answer any other specific questions you may have.
Any questions for the applicant?
Not a question so much, but I'll make a comment and maybe you can respond and soothe me over. For several meetings we've had conversations about water and water problems and flooding, and I'm looking at the site plan, and you know, when I see the corner of the building coming right up against this floodway line, my first thought is, well, if that's historical data, what happens in 10 years, and is that building going to get hit by water in 5 years or 15 years?
I can give you some feedback on that.
Sure, thank you.
This is all on paper, so it looks like it's right there. I can tell you that that floodway is actually 18 or 20 feet deeper than the land where the street is. That's a canyon, basically, and it falls off very quickly. So, and then every building to the south is actually already constructed. This is an infill project. And each one of those, their finished floor level is probably a foot or 2 or 3 lower than this one as it goes on. So this building would be the highest one on the street.
Do you know if those buildings have flooding problems already?
I do not know. But it's definitely higher on this side of the creek than on the east side of the creek than it is on the west side of the creek. The west side actually goes into all those people's backyards.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Move to audience comments. If any member of the audience would like to make a comment, there are some cards which are maybe green or yellow on the cart in the back. Brown, they are brown. If you could write your name and address on there, and if you come up to make a comment, just so everybody's aware, you'll need to state your name and address first, and then following that, we're going to give you 3 minutes to speak. At the end of the 3 minutes, I'm going to cut you off just for sake of time. If you would like a 30-second warning when that time is coming up, let me know before you begin speaking. Otherwise, I'm just going to yield the full time to you. So, okay, any audience comments? Planning Commission discussion? Seeing none, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
And a vote?
You may vote. Whoops, I didn't clear it. Hold on. Better clear it and start over. End voting, clear, start voting. Okay. Okay, everyone has voted, and the motion passed 4-2.
Okay. Before I move to the other non-consent items, I get a little gung-ho about getting through the consent items for everybody's time, but I did want to welcome Kevin Parker and thank him for being part of the Planning Commission also.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 5, consideration of adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of ordinance number O-2122-21 for Johnson and Associates on behalf of University North Park, requests amendment of the existing PUD planned unit development O-1415-45 for property generally located on the east side of 24th Avenue Northwest, south of West Tecumseh Road. And I'll take the staff presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jane Hudson, Norman Planning Department. As you said, this is an application to amend the existing PUD out there at University North Park. The subject tract is shown here. We've got the zoning to the east, which is the airport, which is I-1. Of course, anything to the north and south of the subject tract is still included in the University North Park PUD. Across the street, we've got some I-1 and the land use in the area. Again, the airport's to the east. We do have several offices that have already developed in this area. You can see them here on this map, and then there's one that's south of the subject tract. Up at the northwest corner, we've got some commercial. There's a bank, and that's starting to build out. It's planned for some offices back there in the back as well. The subject tract, you can see it, like I said, there's a building there on the south. This is looking north there from the subject tract. You can see the northwest corner where that commercial is as well in this picture. Just some of the other offices there to the north of the site. And this is looking south on 24th. And this is offices to the south of the site. And again, this is looking south as well. So this is the site plan that the applicant's representative had submitted for them. Again, in the University of North Park PUD, many of you are familiar with that area. You know, it was kind of planned to be a 30-year development in that area. And in the PUD document itself, it stated that the area north of Rock Creek should not have any commercial uses. In fact, it says that it's limited to industrial, office, and or residential uses. And so to get this daycare that they're planning to build here on this site, we're bringing this application forward to rezone this subject tract only. It doesn't impact anything else there north of Rock Creek, but they want to be able to build the daycare there on this site. In addition to that, several years ago in the 15 ordinance that went forward, the building setbacks and the landscaping requirements were changed for this whole strip that ran here on the east side of 24th up to Tecumseh. And so with this application, they're also requesting to stick with the 5-foot landscape strip and the 25-foot build line setback. The public works, so the public improvements, they're in place. Anything that needs to be installed will, of course, be done with the construction of the site. Fire hydrants are existing. Should there be a requirement when the building permit comes through, they'll have to install that as well. But pretty straightforward. We're sending this forward to you for your consideration. The applicant's representative is here. They don't really have a presentation for you, but they're very familiar with it and they can answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jane. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, since we don't have an applicant presentation, I'll just move to questions for the applicant. Any discussion amongst Planning Commission? Any audience comments? And I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
And a vote, please.
You may vote. Everyone has voted, and the motion carried 6-0.
Okay, moving on to item 6, consideration of adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of ordinance number O-2122-24 for W.H. Normandy Creek LP, requests special use for a bar, lounge, or tavern for property located at 2224 West Main Street, Suite 2262. And let's start with the staff presentation. Sorry. We'll hear from you in just a minute, though.
Okay, so we have an application from W.H. Normandy Creek LP for a special use for a bar, lounge, or tavern located at 2224 West Main Street, Suite 2262. The space is zoned C2 General Commercial District and is 11,000 square feet. To the north, there's a C2 General Commercial District. The east is zoned RM6 Medium Density Apartment District. The south is C2 General Commercial District, and the west is C2 General Commercial and R1 Single Family Dwelling. Let's see, so the 2025 land use plan designation for this site is commercial. To the north is currently commercial. The east is multifamily residential. The south is vacant, and the west is both single family and commercial. So there is a large parking area here to accommodate this use. Restaurants have been here previously, but never a bar. And the hours of operation are from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. So this is the lot in question, and the bottom right-hand side is in the crook of the shopping center is where the bar is planning to be. So this is a view of the crook there from the parking lot. Here's a little closer up view. This is looking out west from the site, and here's looking a little bit north through the parking lot from the site. And I'm available for questions. Oh, and staff forwards this request for special use and ordinance number O2122-24 for Planning Commission's consideration. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Okay, we'll take the applicant presentation. Thank you.
I think we had a PowerPoint presentation.
You do, the mouse is there, you
Oh,
can
perfect.
forward the slide presentation. The other way.
Yeah, so this is a corner space in the shopping center that we've had some struggles trying to lease for a little while. We have an existing business that has 3 locations in the metro, looking to expand in Norman to take the 10,000 square feet. They seem to open up a sports bar and grill, full menu. We're interested in the site because of the large kitchen area that's already in place from the last restaurant operator that used to be there. Any questions?
Can you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Oh, yeah, David Hartnack. I live in 1428 Northwest 39th in Oklahoma City.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Wasn't there a restaurant here several years ago? For the life of me, I can't remember what it was called.
It's called
but-
Local.
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 Yeah, so there was, and a lot of those improvements from Local are still in place. So Local had a large bar area, a large kitchen with some expensive vent hoods and things like that.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to use.
Which that particular site had some interesting history because a lot of the bar tops, the glass that was integrated from there was actually made from broken out pieces from the Furs cafeteria that had been there previously.
Oh, really?
So that's where the countertops and some of the glass features, and Aaron Williford may know a little bit more, but I think some of the glass design art pieces were also from glass recycled and used from that Furs cafeteria historically.
Yeah, those counters are still in place. They're still in the facility.
Yeah.
That's neat.
I'd highly recommend you keep those.
Absolutely.
I think that's the intention.
I was going to ask, is the intent for all the entry to come through the front? Nothing from the back, nothing from the, okay, good.
Correct. So there will be loading from the back. You see that little storage bump out, but that's it. So
But that's it.
traffic access.
But the traffic's going to
Zero-
come through the
yeah,
front?
0 parking from the back.
Awesome.
No
Okay.
access.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, I'll open to audience comments. Planning Commission discussion? And seeing none, we'll accept a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
And a vote, please.
You may vote. Everyone, the motion carried 6-0.
Okay, moving to item 7, consideration of adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of ordinance number O-2122-25, an ordinance of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, amending section 429.1, subsection 4 of the zoning ordinance titled Flood Hazard District Land Uses to require that certain features of an equipment servicing new or substantially improved structures in the floodplain, as further set forth in the ordinance, be elevated a minimum of 2 feet above the base flood elevation and providing for the severability thereof. Staff presentation, please.
Hello, Planning Commissioners. My name is Todd McClellan, and I'm the Development Engineer for the City of Norman. And I'm here to talk to you about the benefits of revising the floodplain ordinance that we have. First of all, it's found in Section 22-429.1 of the Norman Code of Ordinances. It was first adopted by the city on July 8th, 1975 as a requirement for us to join the National Flood Insurance Program. And since that time, it's been revised 13 times. The last time it was revised was about a year ago when we adopted a couple new floodplain maps. And it needs to be revised again per the community rating system requirements. And this will help Norman obtain a better CRS class rating. And I'll explain that here in a second. Oops. Okay, the CRS, it's a voluntary program for NFIP communities. There's currently 12 CRS communities in the state of Oklahoma. The program rewards communities for implementing activities such as higher standards, public outreach, and open space preservation, channel maintenance, things of that nature. The CRS class ratings range from 10 to 1, and the higher the flood protection activity, the lower the rating. And flood insurance premiums are discounted in the special flood hazard area based on the rating. Special flood hazard areas is, you probably heard it called the 100-year floodplain or the 1% chance floodplain. It all means the same thing. Class 9 communities receive a 5% discount, with Class 1 communities receiving a 45% discount. And I'd like to point out there's only 2 Class 1 communities in the United States. One of them is in California, and one of them is Tulsa, Oklahoma. Norman is a Class 7 community. Flood insurance policy holders in the special flood hazard area currently receive a 15% discount. Okay, this is the Bible that we go by to manage the program. It's called the CRS Coordinator's Manual. It's about a 4-inch thick document. It tells how credits are calculated for the different floodplain management activities that we do. And it requires lots of documentation, and it's revised approximately every 5 years. It was last put out or revised in 2017. FEMA issued an addendum in January of this year, and it allows now communities to receive credit for floodplain ordinances that add electrical and mechanical equipment to the servicing new or substantially improved buildings in the floodplain to the freeboard requirement. Okay, the question is, or might be from you guys, what is freeboard? Well, freeboard is an elevation that's higher than the base flood elevation, and this higher requirement allows community, it's a factor of safety built in that helps prevent flooding. And in Norman, we have a 2-foot freeboard requirement in our ordinance. And you can see from this slide here, it illustrates where the base flood elevation is, and then it shows what the freeboard would be. And again, because we have a 2-foot freeboard requirement in Norman, we receive substantial CRS discount for that. Okay, if we revise the floodplain ordinance, this will allow FEMA to modify our CRS rating from Class 7 to a Class 6, and flood insurance policy holders currently receiving a 15% discount would then receive a 20% discount. And we also have a schedule here to revise the ordinance. It went to the OWRB, the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, for their review on October 19th, which they were fine with it. It went to the Floodplain Permit Committee on this past Monday, on the 15th, and it was approved unanimously. And now it's before you tonight for your approval. And it also is, you can see from this slide when it will go to City Council for the first and second reading. Oops. So what exactly is the language that we're asking to change? Basically, we're asking that the electrical and mechanical equipment servicing the building also be elevated 2 feet above the base flood elevation. And you can see in red here what is being changed. Basically, we're adding ductwork, mechanical, and electrical equipment to the freeboard requirement. And that applies to residential structures, and it is also going to apply to manufactured homes in the floodplain. Keep going the wrong way here. And it also applies to non-residential construction. Again, we're asking that the mechanical and electrical equipment be elevated 2 feet above the base flood elevation also. Now, in all reality, we're already doing this in Norman. It's just not spelled out in our ordinance, so if we add this language to our ordinance, then we will, FEMA will modify our CRS rating. I've got a couple examples here of things we've already done. This house here is on Lahoma Street. It was elevated approximately 5 or 6 years ago, and in the picture on the left, you can see the air conditioner is on a platform, and I think it's about 6 foot in the air, so it already it meets the freeboard requirement. Here's a new house that was constructed on Lahoma. Again, you can see the air conditioners are on an elevated platform. It's 2 feet above the BFE. So this is what we're asking to do here. And this is a generator that was recently installed in the floodplain. And again, you can see it's on a raised platform. So that's what the language takes care of. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions or comments you all may have.
I have one. Does the city get a benefit outside of the residents getting a reduced premium for their flood insurance?
You mean the city itself?
Correct.
No, this strictly applies to policyholders. So you have to have a flood insurance policy to get the discount.
Thank you.
Hey, Todd, I've got a couple questions. Does this apply to existing structures, or is it only for new structures that they can get the discount?
It applies to, well, it applies to all structures in the floodplain. So if you're in the special flood hazard area and you have a flood insurance policy, you will get the discount.
Even if it's an existing home?
Yes.
My other question is, in the CRS manual, this, I mean, to me, this seems like low-hanging fruit for people to be able to benefit through a reduction. What else is in there that we're looking at that we can implement to move to a class 5?
There's several things in there that could be done. However, we're doing the maximum we can do right now without adding additional staff and doing additional work. Like one thing that you can get credit for is channel maintenance. And right now, I think everybody here knows our issues with stormwater and what we're facing there. So we don't have the staff, the crews to do that right now. Also, dams, there's a lot of credit that can be given for warning, like dam failure warnings and flood warning systems for the city. Again, those are things that you can get credit for that we currently don't have.
All right, thanks.
I have some questions. As someone in a special flood hazard area with flood insurance, when you say channel maintenance, what specifically are we doing right now for channel maintenance?
Well, I believe that Stormwater has 2 crews that they go out there and they clean the inlets and grates, things of that nature, clogged pipes. I don't know the exact schedule because I'm not in the stormwater department, but I think most of it is complaint driven, and when we get calls about clogged pipes or things of that nature, they're sent out there and they do maintenance activities.
Is the So I said I have flood insurance. Is it automatically applied?
Yes, now I'm not gonna say I'm a flood insurance expert, but I believe that when you go talk to your flood insurance agent, that it's automatically figured in the policy.
Cool. And I think you covered this, but just to be clear, so for existing structures, if we replaced our air conditioning unit, we would then have to lift it up. It would no longer be on its base that it's on right now.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Mhm. Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Since with our staff is our applicant, then we'll move on to any other discussion or audience comments. Seeing none, I'd love a motion.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
And a vote, please.
You may vote. Everyone has, motion carried 6-0.
Any other miscellaneous comments for Planning Commission or staff? Of Planning Commission or staff, I should say. Okay, none. Well, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for being here.